What you are about to hear may be offensive, but we don't really give a fuck.
So, David, I hear this new show coming up, the Fortean Slip.
You know, I don't know where these douchebags are coming from.
Steve Alcorn's a fine investigator. What he's doing with this Chris dude, I have no idea.
Christopher York is fucked up. The dude is seriously fucked up.
Put that on the show.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Because I know what that means.
you know where this is going.
Chris, have you ever had an experience in the woods?
If you consider getting blown by a friend behind some trees an experience in the woods, Steve, then yes, I have.
Christopher York? I saw him naked!
This show is going to be fucked up.
I'd like to tell you all this show is going to be good, but let's face facts.
And welcome to the Fortean Slip. I am your jackass, unprofessional amateur host, and to the right or the left is my co-host Dickhead with the Sasquatch Scoop. And our special guest this week, Matt Knapp. Matt, it's been such a long time.
It's been ages, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I was wondering when you were going to actually, give me a chance to come on y'all's show and speak my mind.
We've been waiting for you.
Did you call me a dickhead on the air?
Yes. It was
That's very
appropriate.
unprofessional of you, Chris.
Well, This week's episode is the John Titor Stole My Flux Capacitor episode. We're going to talk about time travel. I figured with the upcoming Days of Future Past X-Men movie coming out, and the fact that it's 2013 and nearly none of John Titor's Civil War predictions in the United States have taken place, nor has anything been destroyed, that we would bring up this lovely gentleman. Supposedly, John Titor came back in time from the year 2036 in a time machine that he put in the back of a 1967, or in the rear of a 1967 Chevrolet Corvette, and went back to 1970 fucking something. I don't know what year it was. To meet up
75.
75? To meet up with his grandfather, who was, I guess, an integral, I can't fucking talk, part of the programming of the IBM 5100, which he needed to bring back to 2036 to fix problems with their infrastructure computers, from what I assume. I kind of fell into this whole thing, I think it was back in 2004, after I'd separated from my ex-wife, and I was back rooming with somebody. And one night he happened to throw me a CD, and he said, "When you get a chance, listen to this." And it was one of Oliver Williams' appearances on Coast to Coast with, I think it was George Norrie. And I was just fucking like, wow, this is cool, time travel. Fucking time travel's real. But then, you start delving into it a little bit, and the years pass by and things don't happen, and you wind up where we are today with nearly none of his predictions as far as the he said we wouldn't have Olympics after 2004 or something like that.
Right.
And that we would be in a civil war starting in 2004, escalating in like 2008, and it would be like full blown by now. But this gentleman jumped on the scene in 1998 and sent a fax to Art Bell as time travel _0, or was it 01, Steve?
I believe it was 01.
Okay, well, either or, we can make an annotation later. But yeah, and started to talk about oh God, you know, that he was a time traveler, so on and so forth. And then he popped up again in 2000 and 2001 on various message boards, I believe. Message boards that had to do with time traveling. He started answering people's questions. He got really frustrated with people. Started talking about the mad cow disease, and even explained some of the technical aspects of time travel. And the thing that still interests me about it today is that the things that he spoke about with time travel, a lot of it's starting to get backed up by your mainstream physicists like Michio Kaku, Hawking. They're all saying it's possible. We can't do it at this point, but it's, time travel, the ability to time travel is possible. So I thought we'd discuss that. You guys are so fucking chatty tonight.
I was waiting for the punchline.
Oh,
there is no
me
punch.
too.
There is no punchline. But
okay.
But anyway, so I mean, I know we've all discussed this, outside of the show, but like I said,
I haven't. I've never discussed it at all.
You should.
And I'm gonna say John Titor,
Titor?
so that I can say tit on the air. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can say whatever.
Because I think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
I'm going to say Titor.
Titor?
There you
because
go.
It sounds very He-Man-esque.
And kind of time travel.
He would kind of be a master of the universe.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. But, so...
And I would also like to give this an opportunity to prove itself. If John would like to show up at my house and knock on my door and come on the air with us during the duration of this podcast recording, that would be awesome. Like, perhaps he's listening to the Fortean Slip in the future.
Right.
And we'll get into his time-traveling Rambler and come here and be on the show.
It was a Corvette, I believe.
Oh,
not a Rambler. Well, then it was a pickup truck, wasn't it, Chris?
It was I think it was a Ford pickup.
Yeah.
No, it was
Later.
it was just it just says 1987 truck having 4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says on Wiki.
Well, it's good to know that a 1987 truck still exists in the future.
Yeah.
See, the future, it was the past, right? Because it was 2000. But in the future,
I think he moved.
You'd have to bring the truck from the.
I think he
I'm
moved
confused.
the unit from the 1967 Chevy Corvette. Because he went back in time to 1975. Did you say? Steve,
Yeah,
you got these
1975.
fucking dates. Okay, so he went back to 1975, met up with his grandfather, told his grandfather something to be able to, prove to him supposedly that he was his grandson, and grabbed this IBM 5100. Then from 1975, he came to, we would assume, 1998, and was here. I would guess, if that was him that sent that fax to Art Bell, he was here from 98 to 2001, in which time he left. According to, and this is according to, now we have on the scene, Larry Haber, the attorney for the family who supposedly has the young John Titor. But anyway, he said that he was in like this fucking Civil War in the United States, and he was a soldier, and that's why he was sent back, and he couldn't...
Was this when the robots started taking over and trying to kill all the humans?
Robots took over, and he couldn't eat fast food because of fucking mad cow disease. You know, he was freaked out that, you know, we ate food that we didn't know where it came from.
Well, here's the thing.
I got it from McDonald's. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no shit.
According to Mr. Titor, he said, yes, Titor. He said, you know, he was 13 years old when he started fighting in this Civil War, and he'd be older than that now. So I'm waiting for children to be enlisted in the Army so that we can prove that Mr. Titor was correct.
Right.
Well, he could have been in the Navy. Maybe I'm wrong.
See, and here's the other thing, okay? So he...
the other thing.
Yeah, the other
like, there's
thing.
Just one other thing about it.
There's just one other thing about it, you know? Because I love, you know, I listened to somebody describe a good conspiracy like this. It catches you for like 10 minutes. And then it starts to unravel. And then you just keep going because you want to see how far it's going to fucking unravel. And, you know, you start reading into his posts, and some of the stuff makes, like the time travel stuff, the stuff that he spoke about time travel kind of really makes sense. Whoever did this, you know, if it, you know, like I was saying to Steve at one point, it was either one of two things happened. Either there was a guy who time traveled back from 2036 and said all this shit, or somebody knew a lot of shit about, you know, time travel, or the ideas behind, the theories behind time travel.
But everybody's theories about it are different.
But a lot of people are coming to a similar place now on it.
Well, I'm not one of those people.
No, you're not.
I'm sorry. And why did he need a car to time travel?
He needed to put the, supposedly, I have to correct myself on that, he had to put the time travel unit in a vehicle that had enough suspension because of the way...
And they couldn't just, like, create some sort of vessel for him to do this? I mean, they couldn't modify any vehicle in the future to do that?
Well, they figured it was easier for him to be able to just take a vehicle back that he could then drive.
Well, yeah, and because you put it in a 1967 Corvette, it wouldn't be noticed at all.
Yeah, no.
You know, with a big old time machine in the back seat.
Sort of like.
So how big is this time machine?
Sort of like making a fucking time machine out of a DeLorean. Nobody's gonna fucking notice that either, right?
The time machine allegedly weighed 500 pounds, and it was said to be the size of a large suitcase.
Yeah.
500 pounds, and he put it in the trunk of a Corvette? I call BS.
Okay. I have the description of the time machine. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
He described the time machines as a stationary mass temporal displacement unit. I think.
Oh, well, since you said that.
Yeah. Powered by two top spin
gerbils.
Dual positive singularities. Producing a standard offset Tipler sinusoid.
Standard one.
Yeah.
I've got bad sinuses myself.
And these are the other things. It had two magnetic housing units for the dual micro singularities, an an electron injection manifold to alter mass and gravity micro singularities, a cooling and X-ray venting system, gravity sensors, or a variable gravity lock. Very interesting thing there too.
Why would you need to vent X-rays?
Hold on. 4 main cesium clocks and 3 main computer units. Now, he said that when you time travel, of course, you're in the unit, you're traveling in time, and the Earth is rotating. So where you are changes, so you're not on the ground, or you may wind up in where something else is.
The middle of the ocean, perhaps.
Who knows? However,
sinking to the bottom in your Corvette.
In your Corvette with a 500-pound fucking suitcase. So this supposedly this variable gravity lock would hone in on the nearest open space for the car to be deposited.
And on the Earth,
which
is the majority of which is ocean. I would consider that a pretty clear space.
But he also said that it takes a chunk of Earth with it.
Correct.
It can't just be. So nobody would notice a 1967 Corvette with a big chunk of Earth underneath it, because that happens every day.
Why not just put it in the General League?
Yeah.
I know, because he did call himself Time Traveler 01.
I mean, come on.
So, I think that was... And it was the right time period.
Yeah.
Did he have a flying skateboard?
No, he did not have a flying skateboard.
Then, you know what? I like the other time traveler much better.
Well,
I do
in that future, we got flying skateboards.
We can't all have a DeLorean.
But,
but
the DeLorean is more rare.
A 60s model Stingray.
You can.
Yeah, because that's the most common car you'll find in the early 2000s.
Absolutely.
But, so anyway...
It won't look out of place at all.
So anyway, this motherfucker... this time traveler...
and this guy that probably, in all essence, is totally fictional, but now we're pissed at him.
Right. He said... that multiple world theory is correct, and that's how, because people asked him about the grandfather paradox, if by going back in time he was going to somehow fuck up everything, and he said no, that can't happen with time travel. You cannot time travel within your own timeline. You go to a universe which is adjacent to yours by variable degrees, and he said that the number of worlds is infinite, and he described it as if you're in a room with mirrors on either side of you, you go on forever. And when you time travel, what you basically are doing is stepping into that next you, or where that next you was.
Like Time Cop.
Was Time Cop like that?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You'd be surprised to know that I haven't seen the movie Time Cop.
What?
Fucking, he hasn't seen anything.
So, yeah, I don't understand that theory.
So, the multiple world theory?
Right. Well, why would there be a virtually exact duplicate of me in some other dimension?
Okay, there's not only just one, there's infinite numbers of you.
Right, but we can just, for simple-minded folk, let's just take one. How would that happen? Like, the Earth would be created exactly the same, everything would get the same names, everybody would look the same, everybody would have the same offspring, the same families, the same friends.
No, there'd be minor differences in the world.
Yeah, like the South might have won the Civil War.
Right, different things. He said, it'll be different things in every... Because he described, the time machine. He said the time machine was only accurate to, 60 years. So he could only go back 60 years with any accuracy. He said if you tried to go back beyond that, the variance of what the world would be like would be so crazy in how different it is from yours that you wouldn't even recognize it. He once said that to make his point, he said if I was to go back and try and see Jesus, I would probably wind up in a world where he was never even born.
So if there's a multiple universe theory or a multiple world theory, and they're all essentially duplicates, pretty much, of each other, why would 60 years make a difference? Why would 10,000 years make a difference?
They would all start far apart and get closer together as they advance through time.
To me, that was one of the problems with his theory, that it changes just because you go back a certain amount of years. You know, it shouldn't change. It should be the same no matter how far you go back. Right? I mean, am I wrong about that?
I don't know.
Let's ask the quantum theory experts. I don't know.
Do I look like Michio Kaku to you?
To me, the whole thing just doesn't make sense, because time is just a measurement that we created. I mean, things that have already happened have already happened.
Right.
There has to be a beginning and an end to something. Like,
So
even if it's moving really fast, it's still moving.
Right, but
here's my problem with his theory of 60 years. 2036 is 61 years from 1975.
Well, then there.
Dun, dun,
You
dun.
fucking debunked it right there. Steve,
So
from
no, the
fucking
thing
Sasquatch
is-
Scoop, end of story. John Titor, it's a fucking hoax. You heard it
The
here
thing is,
first.
though, the thing is, why I think he did it that way, and why he said 2036 and he went back to 1975, is because now he's got to build an excuse as to why things didn't turn out the way he said they were going to turn out. He went back.
But wait, maybe he went back to 1975, the year they discovered time travel, 2034.
No, he said he went in 2036.
Yeah, he said he was from the year 2036.
This time around, he said that. See what I'm saying? It might have been 2036 when he came back and visited this second time around. But the first time...
Well, there is a theory that there were multiple John Titors coming back. Oh, I said Titor. I meant Titters coming back. And the reason that he got on the internet and made these posts is to send messages to the other John Tittors that were here.
Really? I never read that.
So there was
one.
multiple. Yeah, it's a newer theory. I guess.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, all these different versions of Earth.
Right. He wasn't really talking to us on these message boards. He was answering questions so that the next Titter would know what was going on. So they
So
were
did you ever
messaging
talk
each
about
other
how
that
he
way.
got involved in the whole time travel thing? Because that should be happening pretty soon, I would assume.
30
Like, where is he right now?
Well, he said that...
Like the regular one that
he said
hasn't
that-
made it to the future yet.
He said that time travel...
Omaha, Nebraska.
would be invented, or the ideas behind it and everything would be discovered at CERN. And CERN has done some pretty crazy shit, but they haven't done anything to the effect of what he said they would.
And he said that would start, I think, in the early 2000s, that CERN would make discoveries with time travel, and obviously that hasn't happened.
And he said that GE,
Or at least we don't
GE makes the first one.
Of course.
Well, there we have it.
You know.
I think we know. That's it. He was an
Leading
employee
the world of
GE.
technology.
General Electric. They are the company of the future.
We're going to partner with RCA and Xena.
Yeah, well, I come from a town where General Electric is huge. They make their locomotives here in Erie, and they're shipping all that work to Texas. So we're losing GE, and there's a ton of people here that work for GE, and they're all pissed off about it. So whatever, it's all good. Yeah, GE's the greatest. I love you, GE.
GE creates black holes for people to travel in time. And
Miniature ones you can put in the trunk of a Corvette.
that's right.
I don't think
Did he have
I don't
to
think
remove the
GE
spare
is going
tire?
to sponsor us anymore.
I do not know. That is a question. If you can get into a time machine and travel back,
I don't have to. He's going to come to
2000
me.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
keep
that's
talking.
right. Oh, okay.
He's
Right, because we've already done this show in the future.
right.
And so he already knows, and so, in the future.
Oh yeah.
So he already knows, and it doesn't take much to look up, my address. So if
no,
he's
not at all.
right, he can come here, and Mr. Titter knocks on my door during the podcast. I'll definitely put him on the air. So.
I wouldn't.
Where's the version of the future where he had to come back and get a speaking spell to fix all the problems? I mean, why did
Yeah,
you,
that's my biggest
a
issue.
big old
Why
hunk
do
of
you,
shit to fix the future with?
Well,
here's
actually,
the thing. You need a computer from 1975 to fix something in 2036.
okay.
Okay, yeah, I know the theories behind it. I get it, but it just doesn't make any sense to me.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
If you go back, you can. I guess you can look this up. However, I have never taken the time to do it. I am the jackass, unprofessional, amateur. So, but Oliver Williams once said that if you check up on NASA purchases regularly old computer parts because of their old systems on the fucking satellites. We all know the shuttles were pieces of shit. That's why they scrapped the whole fucking thing.
Well, apparently, John Titor said that we would have shuttle problems back in 2000. Of course, that was after some of the shuttle problems already began.
Say,
you know.
One blew up in like the 80s.
People said that he said that there would be no WMDs in Iraq too, but other people say that no, he never said that. So I don't know, and I haven't. You know, it's been
that
so
one. I haven't come across that yet. Yeah.
I at one point in time, I read through all of his fucking posts, and there are a lot of them, and there is a lot to read. Like it's an endeavor to sit down and read that damn thing. There's a lot of information there, but I don't remember seeing anything about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. I remember him saying that in when the election happened in 2000, he said, "Don't you find it interesting what's happening in your country right now with the whole George Bush election?" And he said that our rights would be stripped away from us. That in and of that, he was right. He said that your rights would be stripped away from you, and you know, then we got the Patriot Act, and basically, you're right. With the Patriot Act, your rights were stripped away from you. Completely.
Yeah, that's kind of reaching, though.
It is kind of a reach, but I
mean, don't you think he might mention things like, "Oh, I don't know, the first black president in history"?
Well, he said he couldn't. He said he couldn't mention stuff like that, and he wouldn't mention anything.
No,
like
that's
that.
not true though, because he said by 2008 or 9 we would have a female president. So he did say something like that, but he was wrong, of course.
Right.
And a lot of people say, well, maybe he didn't mean. Obviously, Hillary Clinton ran, you know, at one time, and maybe he didn't mean that she would be president. Maybe he meant that she would run for president. Well,
and if we're a different timeline, then how does he know what happens on our timeline?
See,
Right,
and that's the other thing. That's where
that's
that's the big loophole to the whole fucking thing. The loophole.
Just blame it on the divergence.
Right. He can. Everything can be blamed on the divergence. A lot of people have theories.
But it can go two ways. I mean, why is he giving us information about our timeline if he openly admits that he's not from our timeline?
Now, some people say that if you go back and read his posts, that he never said that this would all ultimately happen to us, that was what happened on his timeline.
Well, yeah, anybody can do that.
His timeline was supposed. His timeline was supposedly 1 or 2% off of our timeline, right?
Right.
So his prediction should be 1 or 2% off.
Right. A civil war.
He should be
that
betting
involves the entire
98%.
world. Right. The Civil War thing should be the clue right there, because it never happened, first of all. And second of all, he said Russia would have a nuclear holocaust and all this other bullshit. You know,
right. He also said that the United States is going to split into 5 sections, and the capital's going to be in, Omaha, Nebraska?
Won't ever happen.
Of course. That's where it should have been in the first place.
Why wouldn't we all just move to Omaha?
He couldn't say things like, there's going to be a tsunami.
No, he said.
No, he said he wouldn't talk about natural disasters.
He wouldn't talk about natural disasters. He wouldn't talk about sports games.
He wouldn't talk about anything that would offer proof.
And he also said that just by his presence, he said that just his presence alone in this timeline changes this timeline.
You know what's kind of funny, though? One would assume that there's some, like, pretty stringent testing and restrictions, and it would probably be a big deal to be a time traveler. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, I compare a time traveler to our modern-day astronaut. And the fact that this guy is supposedly a time traveler, and as soon as he travels back in time, he jumps on the internet and tells everybody about it. Like, he should be fired.
I'm guessing, yeah.
Like,
I'm guessing the first rule of time travel is don't tell anybody you're a time traveler.
The second rule of Time Travel Club, don't talk about time travel.
Like they weren't aware that he's some sort of like internet gossiper.
If this is your
he
first
didn't even
night
like
at Time
predict
Travel
like
Club,
tweeting or anything.
You have to time travel.
Like, is he on Twitter? Did he predict that?
No,
Did he
he's
predict
not.
the iPhone?
He's not on Twitter. His family is
I mean,
represented by an
say-
attorney, supposedly.
Larry Haber.
Larry Haber.
Who is in fact a real attorney. Guess what his what do you call it? Field of practice is?
Time control?
Entertainment law.
Entertainment law.
Huh.
Because all time travelers need an entertainment attorney.
Yeah, like I said.
Why does it sound like a viral marketing campaign?
Yeah, but what for?
Nobody's made any real money off it.
Why?
Nobody has made any, well, yeah.
He's supposed to return in October of 2014, right?
No.
Is he?
Seriously, he's supposed to like, or maybe it's October 24th, 2013.
No, he's already here. Correct. He's already here.
No, but I'm
His
saying
young
he's supposed
self
to
is
make
here.
his big return reveal in October.
Oh, is
of
he
either
gonna
this year or next year?
Is he coming out with Ozzy and on tour and?
Yes. He's going
Well,
to be
that's
on
kind of funny,
Ozfest.
Matt. It's funny that you mentioned that because I believe there is a John Titor movie coming out within the next year or so.
There have been, I think, like comic books over in, or books over in Japan or something about him. There have been various YouTube or internet movies.
Well, this is supposedly a full-blown, production movie.
And people, the thing they can't understand is like this thing happened and it blew over and like a lot of his predictions were bunk but people still pay attention to it.
Why?
Yeah, that's the question. Why? Why do people still pay attention to it?
Because it's interesting.
It's time travel, motherfucker.
That's right.
We
time travel, son.
We all come from a Bigfoot research background, and we had a similar thing happen with all that Ed Smith stuff. I kind of find it
Daisy in a box shit.
Well, look how long he fooled the MABRC, if he really fooled them, and how elaborate was that? It was the same kind of thing, if you ask me. He had plans drawn up, and people bought into that, and I'm guessing there are still people who buy into that. So why do people buy into this when it's obviously a bunch of bullshit?
Why do people
hoax? At least to right, true.
The whole hoaxing. I mean, I guess I kind of get it. It's attention. They're looking for attention. Look at me! Look at me! I made up a story that I was a time traveler.
Yeah, but obviously this guy was really intelligent.
But I went back to get Gray's Sports Almanac.
This guy was really, he must have had some computer background, and he must have had some science background. Because, he was really, it was very elaborate, and a lot of what he said, did kind of make sense in the time travel,
Oh yeah, in the time travel arena.
Time travel
yeah, a lot of the stuff that he said made a lot of fucking sense.
But to me, you know, it's an obvious hoax, mainly because the predictions were at least 90% wrong. And of course, he can blame that on the divergency all he wants, but, you know, if you're only got a 2%, allegedly 2% divergence between his timeline or world line and our world line, then, well, he's way more than 2% off. And right there, that kind of debunks it for me. I mean, there's way more than 2% divergence in his predictions and then what we have today, you know. Some of the things
telling me that
may have
I'm never
happened.
going to time travel?
I'm not saying time travel isn't possible. I think it may be.
Well,
but is John Titor a time traveler? No.
Titor?
Titor.
Titor. Now, just to be clear here, are we talking about John Titor or John Titor 2?
John Titor 2?
Yeah.
We're
because there's some discrepancies. There's the first John, and then there's like the second John, who's the same John, but from a different place, but still the same John, because it's time travel and that's possible.
Right, because of the multiple world theory.
Right.
So where's the other John? I've only read of the one John.
Oh, looky there.
Well, allegedly there would be, you know, obviously there would be multiple Johns, infinite number of Johns.
The John Titor 2 is supposed to be interviewed in October on like the 26th in California.
Really?
Nice.
Yes. And if you notice, whenever he first appeared, it was also October. So maybe it's easier to time travel in the month of October.
Well, it is Halloween.
Kind of. Right.
And you know, that veil between the worlds gets a little thin there at the end of the month.
All good stuff happens in October.
It would be cool, but like I said, I think if it ever is possible and it's happened or is happening or will happen, I don't think they would talk about it. I don't think they'd be allowed to say, "Hey, I'm from the future, everybody," unless it was like, "Look, the world's going to explode if you people don't do this." I mean, there would have to be some reason to expose themselves other than, "Hey, look at me."
Yeah, but even then, nobody's going to believe them. So the world's still going to explode, and you know, so there will be no future. And
yeah, because who's going to believe a guy that was on the internet was a fucking time traveler?
All he has to do is like provide proof of something that happens in like a week.
But technically, he can't do that. Even if he could, like he said, his mere presence here changes how things will unfold.
Well, sure.
Yeah, because if his presence hadn't happened, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Correct.
Right. So technically, he could, if he put an event that was supposedly, let's say, you know, an event from next week, he put it in an envelope and sealed it, and you know, had it, I don't know, in a safe deposit box or something, and gave somebody else the key, and so he could technically, you know, prove that he was a time traveler that way. But it would have to be a very specific event.
Yeah, it would have to be a damn specific event.
Right.
And it would have to be something you couldn't just say, you know, this is going to go up or down. I mean, you'd have to say that this specific event is going to happen on this specific day.
Yeah, it'd have to be something really amazing, like recording a news broadcast and then bringing it back in time, or grabbing a newspaper. Like, it wouldn't be that difficult, really.
No, and it wouldn't affect the timeline at all if the proof happened. You know,
right?
If he put it, let's say he put it in a safe deposit box in a bank or something, and then he gave the key to some well-respected person that nobody's going to doubt. The President of the United States, whatever. Well, no, people doubt him all the time, but we won't go there. This is not a political show, Matt. But anyway.
Oh, sorry.
But people would, Carrot Top. Okay, so he gave it to Carrot Top.
He does have that big trunk.
It's got his
Right.
time
So
machine
that's the
in it.
only way I think you could do it to prove you're a time traveler. But now, anybody who's ever claimed to be a time traveler will say, well, I can't do that because, and there's always an excuse. So,
This
but time
won't
travel
survive.
exists.
Wait a minute. Are you
Right.
saying that Carrot Top's trunk is the TARDIS?
I'm saying Carrot Top is John Titor.
There we go.
Dr.
We
Who?
figured it out. You heard it here first, folks.
Carrot Top is John Titor.
And he's actually traded places with a Carrot Top from a different timeline. That's why he's all buff and roided out now.
Right. The Carrot Top that we used to know isn't the same Carrot Top that we will know and that we have.
Right.
What comedian
The
was
loser
it that called
prop
him?
comedian.
What comedian
switched
was it that
places.
called him the Orange Hulk?
Who was that?
I want to give him props because I fucking remember the joke, but I can't think of who the comedian was. But yeah, I laughed my ass off when I heard.
You know what? I'd rather give the key to the safe deposit box to Andy Dick, only because I get to say Andy Dick on the air.
Okay.
All right, get it out of your system, son. Steve,
I am an amateur.
Steve's like a child that just found his penis. He just wants to pull it out and show it to everybody. Here, I can say curse words.
FCC be damned.
I was looking into some other shit though, because I was on this time travel kick yet again because of this god awful show. And I found this guy, Dr. David Anderson, who has this time travel research center in Long Island. And supposedly, this guy was with the government and helped them to figure out what the problem was with the satellites because they weren't where they were supposed to be, when they were supposed to be, and they found out that time passes differently in space than it does here on Earth. So after discovering that and being, a part of fixing that problem, he went into researching how to control time. He calls it time control. He won't refer to anything as like him making like a time machine but he believes that, his research is going to help time travel. But he's created this thing called time warp field theory. They have this device where they can make a space either slow down or speed up in time. So they can put items like a watch or something in this unit, I guess you would call it, and by tuning it into whatever, they can either speed the time up within that space or slow it down, and they can measure that. And they said that.
And how do they go about measuring that?
I don't know. Like, I know that with the watch, if you've got a watch in there, you can determine, how much time passed for the watch within the space. And they said they could dial it down to like, it was a minute percentage. He said that they could speed time up to a rate of 3, meaning 300%. Or they could dial it down to as low as like 13% of the rate of time as it passes here for us. So the practical application, he said, was to be able to transport organs. Like if somebody dies, they're donating their organs. Bam, pop them open, grab the organs, we throw them in this fucking thing. Time doesn't pass for very long for the organs on the trip to the hospital to get them to whoever needs them. However, this lovely thing that they've created, I guess, gets it would cook. They can't put anything in it that's alive or like tissue or anything like that because it will cook it. So I was thinking they should market it as a microwave.
I was going to say, I have one of those at my house, and I cook tissue all the time. You know?
Okay, you had me until you mentioned the watch. A watch is a mechanical device that causes little hands on the watch face to move certain amounts of increments in a certain period of predetermined time that the watch is set to move. So putting it in a device that slowed down or sped up time would not change the function of the watch. It would still read the same time.
Unless, of course, the machine itself had an effect on the mechanical operation.
Okay, well, you can go to the website of the doctor with the PhD who did the work for the government and now does this shit. And you can check into it. I read all kinds of shit. That's all I know.
Be careful, because it might be all highly classified stuff that you're not allowed to look at.
Right.
Yeah, you might not be able to
I mean,
look
I
at it.
know that if I were a doctor with a PhD working for the United States government, I would be posting this information on the internet too. And if I had the intellect to create a time warping device, I would certainly throw a wristwatch inside of it to measure it.
To measure it.
It makes a lot of sense.
Well, because the machine
How do we
itself
know
might
it's
have
working? I know. Let's put a watch inside of it.
Because the machine itself
scientific.
might have an adverse effect on the watch itself. You know, it might not be slowing or speeding up
Right.
time at all. It just might be messing with the watch. You
It's
know,
messing with the watch.
but I don't know. I haven't read up on this.
And you
guy.
can't
Hey,
actually...
you guys are completely
if it's working
uninformed
on a
tonight
cellular-
anyway.
Well, I'm just saying, you can't even see if it's working on a cellular level because it cooks whatever you put in it.
That's right.
Only living or only biological.
Listen,
Right, which is the only things that have cellular
anytime
decay.
I want my Orville Redenbacher fucking microwave popcorn, I throw it in the old time control unit. Speed it up to 3.
That's what I'm gonna start calling my microwave.
As long as it's made by GE.
Here we got great news. Time travel is possible. The bad news is you're gonna get fried.
Yeah. It kills you, but...
But we can send you back in anytime you want to go.
It's like when Jeff Goldblum shows her the fucking thing at the beginning of The Fly.
Yes. Which was made by GE.
And they're all made by GE. I want to stay right now.
See, that's it.
GE
This whole
wants
time
to
travel
sponsor
idea.
This podcast, they're more than welcome.
They already have.
I think we already fucked that up. I think it's all a big commercial. Time travel is all a big commercial for GE. That's all it is. The viral campaign to sell more microwaves.
John Titor.
John Titor.
Marketing specialist, General Electric.
Yeah.
We found
Why
him.
would you name a specific company? You know? Why would you do that?
I don't know.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
You wouldn't name anything else?
I can't.
Did his Corvette have like a General Electric decal on the hood?
He names a GM product, a Corvette, and then he names
He's
a
got all
specific
of his
company.
time
But
travel
no,
sponsors
I can't
on
tell
the
you.
hood.
I can't tell you who's going to be the president. I can't tell you that you're going to die in a natural disaster. I can't tell you, any of this bullshit. But I can tell you, GE made a time travel device. You know,
So
come
perhaps
on.
we should start investing in General Electric stock.
Oh,
Maybe.
well, that's a big thing, Matt, because John Titor would say, he didn't come back in time to give stock tips because that would be wrong.
That would be very wrong.
Well, he told us that General Electric will create one of the greatest inventions of all time. No pun
Right.
intended. But don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, why would we?
General Electric. And Corvette.
But he also
also
said,
makes-
people asked him about UFOs as well.
Well, sure, why not?
And he said that UFOs might be travelers from further into the future with superior time machines.
Absolutely.
Well, I did read
Makes
an
perfect
article
sense.
saying that we're all turning into grays.
You turned into a fucking gray a long time ago. On that note,
Yeah.
I think we will turn it over to Steve for tonight's news. I need a news.
and
We
I
need a
have got
news.
some good
We need a
news.
news bumper. We need like a... Okay.
All right. So, I do have some news for you tonight, and this one caught my attention because I don't know, for some reason I thought of a friend of mine when I saw it, but it was a Washington man, and he had the best plan ever, or maybe not. A guy named David Wayne Jordan shot an arrow with a bag of marijuana tied to it into the mesh-covered window that leads to the Whatcom County Jail's exercise yard. Why did Mr. Jordan do this?
He's the Robin Hood of weed.
That's right. He's the Robin Hood of weed. Well, why did Mr. Jordan do this? Well, when confronted by deputies, Jordan admitting shooting the arrow, but claimed that he'd been hunting a squirrel. The squirrel has not turned itself into authorities yet and has issued no public statements at this time. So, my question is, why is he hunting squirrels with bags of weed?
The squirrel's gonna come in and be like, that motherfucker dimed on me.
How did the physics of shooting an arrow still work with a bag of weed tied to it?
I have no idea.
It's weed.
Serious news,
It's
fellas.
weed.
Oh.
All right. In further news, a 40-year-old man has been arrested in Russia. And this is a courtesy of Sky News.
Right, next story.
Russia's cool, yeah.
A person arrested in Russia? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Was he drunk?
And he was arrested for, well, he may have been. A man has been arrested after apparently stealing a complete stretch of road in a remote area of Russia.
How do you steal a road? Did he have a gigantic time travel device?
The man stole 82. Trying to read the news, guys. The man stole 82 reinforced concrete slabs that form the route from the village of Parchak in the Republic of Komi to, I can't pronounce any of these Russian names, Vychita River.
That's absolutely correct.
I've been to the Vychita River.
Of course it is. Yeah. The RIA Novosti news agency reported. It's thought that he used an industrial manipulator. Maybe it was a time machine.
Made by GE.
A machine that is both a bulldozer and a forklift to dismantle the slabs.
Hello, comrade. I need new driveway.
The pieces of the road were then loaded onto 3 trucks.
touch button on GE machine.
The pieces of the road were loaded into 3 trucks and later intercepted by the police. The stolen slabs were worth about 200,000 rubles. And it doesn't give an American equivalent to rubles, but, you know, not much.
So you can sell sections of road on the black market or something? Like
apparently.
Could I please see your license and registration?
Well, here's the thing. The chief suspect is a 40-year-old resident of Sky Tabakar. It's a capital city somewhere in Russia.
Wow. What was that name again, Steve? Sky Tabakar, Russia.
Sykytyvkar. You pronounce it.
Svitsky.
There it is.
That sounded really good, didn't it?
It's the capital city of the Northern Republic, and he is said to have admitted his guilt. He now faces up to 2 years in prison for theft.
Plus, he had 8 slabs of road sitting in his front yard.
Right. And in our final news story tonight, if I can find it, you guys got my.
I know not how they got there.
This one you guys will like because you come from a Bigfoot background. And it's about our friend MK Davis. And as soon as it pops up on my computer, as soon as it pops up on my slow-ass computer, I will read it.
MK Davis here.
We can wait if you want to go back in time.
I'm not going to say that this computer here is has a news story on it, but you come to your own conclusions.
I thought I had it up already.
MK Davis here.
Perhaps if it was an IBM 51K.
Then we could fix the
5100,
problem.
I think. Right. Oh, my story is gone.
What?
That sucks.
Fuck.
I could just.
All right. Well, here. I'll paraphrase. Here we go. According to a new film analysis of the famous 1967 Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film, Patty, as this subject has been lovingly nicknamed, has a problem. it seems that Patty has a flare-up. M.K. Davis has spent more time analyzing the PG film than most anyone else, and he
Which has now become an R-rated film.
Right. Believes he has made this new discovery. Yes.
What do you mean by flare-up?
Patty was.
Yes, Patty has. Come on, I'm not done, guys.
Okay.
It says, yes, Patty has hemorrhoids. MK states that he enhanced the film and sent it to a doctor for confirmation.
Oh, no.
If you ever wondered why Patty didn't run away from...
Patty was rubbing one out as she walked across.
Mr. Davis, I received your photograph.
MK Davis, I'm pretty sure I see 2 fingers in her crotch. But,
if you ever wondered why Patty didn't run away from... If you ever wondered why Patty didn't run away from Roger and Bob, well, now you know.
Originally, when they rode up on her, she was sitting on an inflatable donut.
MK also states that Patty has braided hair. If you've watched his latest one.
Well, the work he's done is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the man has gotten down to hair braids and hemorrhoids. I mean, I believe he actually found fleas on her at one point in time.
Mm-hmm. Well, probably ticks, being that she lives out in the
Give
forest.
that man a video, he's going to find what's on it.
I mean, this was 16 millimeter.
Not before he puts a picture of himself next to a sign.
At like 400 yards. I love the opening to his videos with him next to the sign, you know, because that proves that he's the best film analyst out there. So.
Yeah.
I like MK. Don't get me wrong. I like MK. We love you, MK.
Sure.
What does that stand for, MK?
Marlon K. Davis.
Stands for the end of the show. That's what it fucking stands
Stripper
for.
music again.
The hemorrhoids.
Hey, you know,
Patty was
my nephew made a prediction
music.
My nephew made a prediction that there would be a civil war as well. He said the East would rise against the West because they didn't like the color of crayons that the West was using.
All right, that's the end of our show.
Oh, wait! There's a knock at my door. Hang on.
No, there isn't.
No, there's not.
Thank you, Matt Knapp from bigfootcrossroads.blogspot.com. Thank you, Steve from the Sasquatch Scoop. Go visit the Fortean Slip on YouTube. Good night, everybody.